Hi, and welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Linda Shea, the Division Director for Animal Control. With me is Randy Cooper. And every week we take a look at animals that are looking for forever homes at the Frederick County Division of Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. This week we're going to take a look at 4 of our dogs and 6 of our cats. Typical for this time of year, we've always got more kittens and cats in the shelter than puppies and dogs. So the first little lady we're going to take a look at is Buffy. This is Buffy. She is an adorable Parsons Russell Terrier, Jack Russell mix type dog. She is about 7 years old, and she was turned in by an owner. Her owners were moving and decided that they couldn't take her along. She has a wonderful temperament. She is, I believe, color-coded orange, which means that she's sort of middle of the road. She's not really a lap dog. She does have a lot of energy, actually. She's, for being 7, she's in relatively good health. She's been at the shelter since mid-May, and we've kind of just been assessing her health and have done some diagnostics just to make sure that she's in the best shape she can possibly be in. And as you can see, she's very easy to handle, very affectionate. In her cage, she can be very vocal, and that's not unusual, especially in a kennel environment. Dogs tend to want to talk to visitors and talk to one another and kind of compete for the volume back there. But as you can see, she is relatively calm and very, very well mannered. We've brought her up to speed on vaccines, on deworming. She's only a little over 13 pounds, and she came to us intact. So prior to leaving here, she will be microchipped, she will be spayed, she will be current on all the vaccines that she needs. And what I would encourage you to do, if you are interested in a dog like this, come in and visit with her. Sometimes the photos and the video don't quite do the dogs and cats justice. So Buffy is an adorable little girl looking for a forever home. This little guy is one of the cutest dogs we have in the shelter at the moment. This is Shiloh. He is extremely shy. Came into the shelter the end of May, and he's only about a year old. So quite often we get people that come into the shelter to visit, and they're looking specifically for little dogs. And you know, if you don't see what you want on the shelter or on the shelter floor, you want to make sure that you at least ask the question at the front desk to see if we have any little dogs in foster care. So at the moment, Shiloh is transferring between foster care and the shelter adoption floor. But he is, again, extremely shy, so would probably do best in a home without small children. He's been around 6 other dogs and 3 cats in foster care. Came to us as a stray, so we don't know what his background is. And certainly his temperament is a little bit timid, and that's not unusual. Again, there's a lot of noise here, there's a lot of distraction, there's a lot of other dogs, there's strange people. But he's kind of settling into the routine, and certainly his foster mom is here to keep an eye on him and continue to socialize him. He is used to a crate. He is they're working on house training him, so he's got some work to go, some time to go with that. Trying to see what else his foster mom has. And we have a question on our profile, you know, does he bark excessively? It says if he sees other dogs, you know, and if they're out and he's in his crate. So a lot of times that's just an indication that he wants to be out and play as well. He does like toys, and he knows commands when he needs to go in his crate. That's one of the commands he knows, and then come here is another command. So he is a little boy. We will make sure that he's neutered and microchipped prior to leaving. We've already gone ahead and given him the vaccines that he needs. We've tested him for heartworm, Lyme, Ehrlichia, anaplasma. All those are negative, and he's current on a rabies vaccine. So if you're interested in sort of a project dog, if you have a quiet home, if you have experience with little dogs, Shiloh would be a good choice. So this little girl is on the other, if you have a spectrum of personality. Shiloh is our very shy dog. Bella is definitely a very confident dog, very interested in things. She's only about 4 years old. She was previously owned, and the family situation changed. There was an addition of a new child. People get busy when that happens, and they decided that the dog could not stay there any longer. So that's how Bella came to be with us. Whenever you visit our shelter, just remember that every animal has their own individual story. Some sound familiar. You know, moving is a common theme. When people move, they tend to dispose of their animals or relinquish them. When people have babies, they tend to do the same thing. If people suspect they're allergic. So whenever you're introducing a pet into your family, please remember, and we try to drive this home, that that's a lifetime commitment. So she's only 4. Pit bulls can live to be nice, have an age of 12, 15 years with good care. Prior to coming here, Bella had no vet care on history. The owners were not aware of any time that she'd been to a vet, so we went ahead and brought her up to speed on preventative vaccines. A lot of times when animals arrive at the shelter and they don't have preventative vaccines on board, they're more likely to get sick. So with dogs and cats, when they are handleable at the intake area, we go ahead and perform the inoculation. So she's had her Bordetella or distemper combination. We've given her preventatives for fleas, for ticks, and for intestinal parasites. We do have her color-coded green. She's about 62.5 pounds, a very strong girl. So in order to adopt her, you want to keep in mind that she's going to need an exercise routine. She's going to need somebody that is as strong as she is to kind of to handle her. And also you want to make sure that she's got relatively good manners. You want to make sure that you incorporate some sort of training that will make her easier to handle in a household. But this is Bella, a very friendly girl and looking for a forever family. This little girl is Cammie. She is a return to shelter. She was adopted about a year ago as a young puppy. Now she's about 1.5 years old. We have her down as a Shar-Pei mix, and if you happened to visit the shelter a year or so ago, you might recognize the ears. The one is kind of half mast there. But she is about 32 pounds. We brought her up to speed on vaccines. She is already spayed and already microchipped, so her adoption would be a little bit quicker than most of our adoptions because we don't have to have that done. Every animal that leaves here, dogs, cats, and bunnies, are spayed or neutered prior to leaving the shelter, and that's our contribution to reducing the number of unwanted pets and the overpopulation of unwanted pets in our county. So Cammie is her name now. She was Junebug when she was here originally. Cammie is color-coded green. She's a good-tempered dog. She likes to be handled. She's very social. She's very inquisitive. She could use some manners. I'm really not a fan of dogs getting up in your face and up on your lap and up on the furniture, but of course that's up to her new owners as to what they want to tolerate. But I would say, color-coded green, she's got a good foundation for being an awesome adult dog. So if you're looking for this size dog, again, she's about 32 pounds, not going to get much bigger. If you've got the time, resources to invest in offering her some manners and some consistency, then Cammie would be a good choice for your family.
I'm not sure she knows what treats are.
So the last little guy we're going to take a look at before we head to break is Tommy. Tommy is about 3 months old. Tommy came to us the mid part of April and was an underage orphaned kitten. So we sent him into foster care, and he has been nurtured by an amazing pit bull in a foster care home. And what I've noticed in my tenure here at the shelter is that so many people that are looking for kittens will specifically ask for kittens that have come from foster care. And if you've ever interacted with those kittens, you can see why. A lot of times they are very affectionate. They're little purr boxes. Tommy is no exception to that. He's affectionate, he's inquisitive, he's healthy, he's social, he's been around his litter mates, he's been around this amazing dog in the foster care family, and he's gotten lots of attention. Our foster care providers help us so much because every year we take in several hundred kittens through the summer months, and we can't keep those kittens here in the shelter. We just don't have the capacity, and we don't have we're not able to provide them the socialization they need. So we have wonderful foster care providers. So if you've ever thought about maintaining a kitten or a litter of kittens, just one litter over the summer, just for a few weeks at a time, we do provide all the medical care that they need. We do provide food if you're unable to provide that, because we want them to have a consistent diet, and we're certainly willing and able to provide you the support that you need. So if that's something you're interested in, you want to ask at the shelter. So in the meantime, this is Tommy. He is looking for a forever home. He's got a few other kittens on the floor that his litter mates and then other litters here that are looking to be adopted. So we're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we come back, we've got 5 more kittens to take a look at that are also looking for their potential adopters.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
The Frederick County Health Department's On the Mark Adolescent Clubhouse and Sober Activity Center is a safe, community-based clubhouse which provides a starting point or continuing care link for peers supporting one another through the process of recovery. Membership is free and open to youth from ages 12 to 17 who are in treatment for substance abuse or are struggling in this area or who have completed a related program. The clubhouse offers fun and sober games, homework help, skills building, and many other activities. Located in the health department at 350 Montague Lane in Frederick, Maryland, the clubhouse is open Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. To learn more, call 301-600-1126 or visit frederickcountymd.gov on the Mark. Please also like us on Facebook at On the Mark Clubhouse.
Ever wonder whether something is recyclable or not? Or maybe you forgot to set your cart out at the curb. Now there's an app for that. Download the free My Waste app for tablets and smartphones to have convenient access to a wide range of recycling and disposal information. Be notified of upcoming events, see your recycling schedule and set customized reminders, as well as instantly report curbside problems. Find out more at frederickcountymd.gov/mywaste.
Welcome back to Pet Pals. We're going to take a look at 5 of our kittens that are available on the adoption floor at the Frederick County Division of Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. So Randy is holding Marie, and he has reminded me that some of the kittens in this litter are named after Aristocats characters. So Marie is no exception. She is about 13 weeks old, domestic short hair, and she is a tortoiseshell in color, meaning that she's got that black and orange that's kind of blended together. And she is also a product of foster care. So if you are looking for kittens that are affectionate, that are social, that don't mind being held and handled and picked up, and a lot of times our foster care providers have young children. So if you have young children in your family and you're looking for a cat or kitten that would match your home, then that would, make sure that you ask. That sometimes is a deciding factor. So Marie is your typical little 13-week-old kitten. She is, you can tell, she's very healthy, she's very active, but she's very, very agreeable to interacting with her people. We have snap tested. We snap test all of our cats and kittens on the floor. And snap testing refers to the sound that the test makes when we press it down. We test all of our cats for feline leukemia and feline immunodeficiency virus, and all of these guys have tested negative. So if you're looking for kittens, we've got 4 more to look at after Marie. This is the time of year you want to visit the shelter and interact with them. All right. So I will apologize ahead of time if anybody out there speaks French and is familiar with the Aristocats cartoon. It's been many years since I've watched it, but this little guy is named after one of the characters as well. And his name is Burl or Burl. So he is Marie's litter mate and also a product of foster care. These guys arrived back on April 22nd. This little guy is just a little over 3.5 pounds, and he is ready for adoption as well. He is affectionate, he is sweet. He's a little more quiet than his sister Marie, but nonetheless very interested in his environment, very enthusiastic, and kittens are what they are. So if, again, this is typical for this time of year when folks are looking for kittens. We certainly have plenty of them, and if we don't have them in the shelter, we've got them in foster care. So ask the question. You're welcome to call in. I encourage you to come into the shelter. Sometimes with kittens, they come in and they are put on the adoption floor so quickly that we don't have time to necessarily market them in the normal ways through Pet Finder and Pet Tango. So again, coming into the shelter is probably your best bet. But this little guy is what we call a classic orange tabby, and the way I remember that, it looks like somebody's just swirled together vanilla and orange on his coat in that beautiful pattern. So if you are, again, if you're looking for a kitten, this is the time of the year you want to visit the shelter, and this little guy, Burl or Burloy, is available for adoption. Tallulah is also from foster care. She's our little domestic short hair, and she's what we call a diluted tortie. She's got if you take the black and orange of a traditional tortoiseshell and you dilute the colors to gray and peach, you end up with a diluted tortie. And torties are typically always female. So when we look at them from a distance and people are sometimes impressed, how do you know it's a girl? Well, we can tell from the color. Tallulah is also about 3 months, so came in the 3rd week in April. April is when we started seeing a lot of kittens. Our kitten season this year was somewhat delayed. So as a result, we'll be having kittens returning from foster care over the next couple of months as they get big and strong and healthy. But Tallulah was in foster care. Again, she's been around young children. She's been around other kittens. She is healthy. She is one of the few kittens. I'm looking at her medical. With every animal that comes in, we have a medical history, and that contains a record of any vaccines, preventatives, any illness and treatment, any diagnostics. That's all here, and that's something that you get with your adoption. And she has not developed an upper respiratory infection, which is a good thing. She's had 2 vaccines to prevent that from happening. Oftentimes when kittens come in underage and without a mom, they tend to develop an upper respiratory infection just for not having the prevention from either mom's immunity or vaccines on board. But these guys went directly into foster care, and that's always our goal, is to keep them healthy and safe until they're big enough for adoption. So Tallulah she's beautiful. She's a little over 3 pounds, so she's somewhat of a lightweight. Prior to leaving here, she will be spayed and microchipped. So if you're interested, again, in visiting these kittens, the best thing to do is to come into the shelter. This little guy is named Houdini, also a product of foster care. So you can tell our foster care providers have been busy over the last couple of months or so. He is also about 3 months old. This is a litter that's sort of a challenge. There are 4 of them in the litter. They are all brown tabby in some capacity or another. So one thing that we do to try to identify them, because it is difficult to tell kittens apart, especially as they're growing and maybe changing coat hue and the depth of what the color is. So we've gone ahead and microchipped. So it's kind of a safety catch. If you fall in love with a kitten, and you look at its medical and you see that there's a microchip, you can ask our staff or a volunteer to grab a microchip scanner and scan to make sure that the kitten that you're holding, falling in love with, and want to do an adoption application for is the same kitten that's on the paperwork. But this little guy is Houdini, again considered a brown tabby in his coat pattern, his coat color. He is up to speed on vaccines, on preventatives. He'll be neutered prior to leaving here. He's come from a very loving, affectionate family. He's used to being held, he's used to being socialized, and he's used to being with his litter mates. So one thing that we encourage is with kittens, if you're looking at just adopting one and considering to talk to us. 2 kittens that are litter mates can sometimes keep each other company. They can be friends. They can play together. So there's a lot of positives to adopting 2 kittens at a time, plus there's an incentive as far as the adoption fee. But this little guy is Houdini. He's just one of many, many kittens that we've got now on our adoption floor. The last little kitten we're going to take a look at, but certainly not the last kitten that's left for adoption on our adoption floor, is Catoctin. Catoctin is also a product of foster care, and he's actually Houdini's litter mate. There are 4 brown tabby kittens in that litter. Catoctin is, same as Houdini, about 3 months of age, has been tested negative for feline leukemia, feline immunodeficiency virus, current on vaccines and preventatives, and of course looking for a family that will adopt him and keep him for the rest of his life. Cats can live an average of 15 years with good vet care and proper nutrition. They can live much longer. We recommend that you, when you adopt an animal, that you have a veterinarian in your life. Domestic animals need to see the vet at least once a year, and the best way to start off that relationship is once you adopt from the shelter, you want to make a vet appointment within a few days of adoption. Call the vet's office, tell them, hey, I just adopted a kitten or 2, and they need to come in just for a nose-to-tail exam. And at that point, the vet will transfer all the information that we provide our adopters as far as medical, vaccines, and preventatives to their records, and that's how you start that relationship. And that's important to do. So much of the time, prevention is not as expensive as treating something that's not diagnosed or misdiagnosed. So you want to make sure that you have that yearly exam at least. And of course, if your animal gets sick, you want to make sure that you call your vet and engage in a dialogue at least to what to do next. All of our animals here at the shelter are spayed or neutered prior to leaving. We do have a part-time vet. She's 12 hours a week, but that does not mean that not every animal gets a vet exam. So everything that we know, however, does get documented. And at the point of spaying and neutering, they do get an overall exam by that vet that performs that surgery. So again, this is Catoctin. He's just one of many kittens that's looking for a home right now at the shelter. And that wraps it up for this week's Pet Pals. It certainly is full-blown kitten season. If you have been waiting patiently to add a kitten to your life or 2 kittens to your life, you do want to either call the shelter, but again, my best recommendation is to come in during the hours we're open. We're open Monday through Saturday, convenient hours on Wednesday, and Thursday nights we are here until 8 p.m. So we look forward to seeing you. We thank you for watching Pet Pals. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.